Welcome to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen, with your host, Ryan Lee, your number one source for all things landscape lighting. From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing, we discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What is up? What is up? Welcome to Lighting for Profits. I'm Ryan Lee, your host. I'm here on Turfs Up Radio, here on YouTube, Facebook. It's going to be a good one. I look forward to this show every single week, and I hope you do too. Thanks for joining me. I am back in the studio, Landscape Lighting Secret Studio. Last week I was chilling with some other lighting geeks and lighting nerds from all over the world in Arizona. I'll give you an update on that. And we're going to have a sweet show. Introduce my guest here in a minute. But really excited here to help motivate and educate to help you dominate. What's up, Ray? What's up, Paul? You got it figured out, man. It's good to see you. Man, I had a blast last week in Arizona. That was my first time at AOLP. I'm actually going to give you a quick rundown and my thoughts about my first AOLP experience. So I'm going to do that here to start the show off. First of all, I want to thank you guys for your support. Really cannot express that enough. Had so many people come up to me at AOLP and thank me for what I'm doing. But honestly, I thank you for what you're doing. This is not about me or one person. This is about a community, and I'm just grateful to be a part of it. So thank you guys for your support. It means a bunch. So thank you so much. This week, my guest, let's face it, one of the hardest things about really running and scaling a business is finding other people to help you do that. And, if you're like me, you start your business not really knowing what the hell you're doing. And then you're like, well, gosh, I got so much work. I need help. And no one really teaches this stuff, right? And you don't really know how to find good help. So you do your thing and you find out that you're not very good at recruiting. You're not very good at hiring, all this stuff. And then you blame it on the person that you hired, that, they're not competent or whatever else. In reality, you could have avoided the train wreck to begin with. So, obviously I'm always talking about business and customer service. You get into lighting and you're talking design and why it makes sense to be a better designer and why it makes sense to be a better installer and be part of the AOLP and get CLVLT, which, by the way, that's my new title. It's Ryan Lee, CLVLT. But honestly, if you don't get what we're going to talk about today, if you don't get this right, you're not going to make it very far. And all those other things are nice, but you really need recruiting. And most people don't pay enough attention to this. So I hire the wrong person, and then it's kind of a crash and burn situation. So, and I don't think it's right, but a lot of people regress and then they go, it's just easier to do it myself. And so today we're going to have Shawn Day, and Shawn is an expert recruiter. He's with Blue Skies, and I'm excited to have him on. I've been on a couple of calls with Shawn. We had what we called Culture Fest training inside Landscape Lighting Secrets. We did that. It was a couple months ago, but this guy's awesome. And so you're going to love what he has to share with you. And I promise you're not going to want to miss it. So stick around. We're going to have him on in just a couple minutes. What's up, Scott? How you doing, man? Thanks for being here. So I told you last week I went to AOLP. Well, actually, let me I have one announcement. We still do have a few spots, but we have Lighting Accelerator. I decided to partner up with a couple of Christmas lighting folk for this one. And I'm going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, we still do have a few spots left. But it's going to be March 11th, 12th, 13th. If you want to come for all 3 days, that's great. We're going to do 2 days of landscape lighting and kind of mix that second day. Or if you just want landscape lighting, just come for the first 2 days. If you just want Christmas lights, come for the last 2 days. But really, you should come to all three, because we're going to talk about scaling your business using Christmas lights, landscape lighting. It's going to be awesome. So come to that. Please come. It's going to be awesome. Go to lightingaccelerator.com to get tickets. And if you're thinking about bringing someone, yes, there's a discount rate for the companion. It's like half price or a third of the price or something like that. So go check that out. And I'd love to see you here in just a few weeks in Raleigh. So anyway, last week, I want to give you the quick update on AOLP before we have Mr. Shawn Day join us. And again, it was my first time. I've been in the lighting industry. I started my business in 2007. So how many ever years that is? That's 15 years. So I've been in the industry 15 years. Never joined AOLP. It was just honestly one of those things. And, I'm just kind of a honest, transparent guy. Honestly, AOLP, they don't do a very good job advertising and marketing and stuff like that, right? It's kind of like a lot of maybe you, right? A lot of people are really good at what they do. They're good designers, good installers, but not so good at the business side. In my opinion, AOLP lacks the business side, right? And so I never understood the value proposition. I was like, why would I go? Like I'm busy working, right? And so just never joined. And obviously in the role that I'm in now, I have a lot of people asking me like, should I go to AOLP? Should I get certified? Should I get this CLVLT? Should I get cold certified? And I'm like, I don't know. Never done it. So I was curious. I was like, yeah, I need to go through this stuff, right? So this year I decided to go and take the exam, the CLVLT, Certified Low Voltage Lighting Technician. And I had heard through many people that most people that have experience actually fail their first time because they think they know everything, right? And I'm really no exception. I do think I know everything, which that's not true. I know I don't know everything. And so I did take it serious. I don't like to fail. I really don't. And I know I talk about failures or just learning experiences, but if I can avoid failing, I will. And so, listen, they give you a 50-page study guide, which was 60 pages. And if you don't have that thing memorized, then don't bother taking the test. Like it's not just, you're just not going to cruise through. And not everyone passed. Not everyone passed the test. They're going to have to retake it next year. There's a bunch of different sections. Some people failed certain sections and they were able to learn what they did wrong, retake it and passed. So luckily for me, I'm a star student, baby. I passed all the sections the first try. And again, not that it was easy. Like I don't know. It's all about perspective, right? But for me, I thought it was easy because I was prepared, right? If you're not prepared, then you're going to fail and you're going to be like, why did he say it was easy? So if you decide to get CLVLT certified, just be prepared, right? And a couple of things that did prepare me was I think a lot of people forget that actually I do know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of business coaches out there, and some of them are amazing, and then some of them actually don't really know what they're talking about. So whatever your opinion of me, that's fine. But I will say this. I think a lot of people forget that I actually did start my own business. I started in 2007 with my brother, and I was the installer. Like I didn't know how to do this, so we figured this stuff out. I was the maintenance guy. I knew quick that I did not want to be an installer. I didn't like that work at all. I liked selling. I liked designing. I liked dealing with clients, right? But in terms of the installation, it got old quick, like after the first 2 hours. So after we had our installers, I was like, okay, well, then someone calls and they have a service call. It's like, well, we can't get to your property because the installers are busy doing installation stuff. So I became our full-time maintenance guy. And little did I know it, it was preparing me for the CLVLT 15 years later, right? And so I learned all the troubleshooting stuff, not by way of a test or a method, is because I had to. There was no one to bail me out. It was like if the lights aren't working, I had to figure out why. And so you learn certain things of like how to trace, start with where the power is, and trace down the line. So some of those things were actually fairly easy for me because I just had real world experience. But I will say, I think the reason why I passed everything else was because of the study guide. I mean, I studied. I spent 4 hours last Saturday, was Saturday before, just highlighting all the stuff that I was like either like some of it, but not the AOLP method, right? And so you have to be able to list certain things for installation, for maintenance, all that. I mean, if I wouldn't have studied, there's just no way I would have passed those sections, right? So make sure that you go through, if you're going to do that, go through it and take it serious. Again, I don't like failing, so I was not looking forward to failing in front of a larger audience than most. And so I was prepared, though. If I failed, I failed, right? And so There's different sections. There's a written test. I missed one on the written. There was like 65 questions. I missed one. And I actually don't know which one it is, but I want to find out. I'm just that type of person that, yeah, obviously you miss one, you're still going to pass. But to me, it's not really a pass fail. It's like, why did I miss the one? I want to know what I did wrong, so I know how I can correct that. Right. There was sections on installation, on voltage drop, on maintenance, on lamps and troubleshooting, right? And like I said, certain of those sections I felt prepared just because of my experience, and then others was based on studying. So um, I think I think it's a worthwhile thing. Like I said at first, I've never understood. I just didn't understand the value proposition, right? And I have not confirmed this, but on my certificate, which I do not have here, I was really obnoxious when I passed the CLVLT. I was like, "Hey, guys, make sure like I wouldn't allow people to eat lunch with me if they weren't CLVLT." Really turned into a really judgmental prick at that point. But I've since humbled myself, and now I can deal with the commoners out there. But the CLVLT, I would say, is this on my certificate number. It said, I think, number 2277 or something like that. I think it might mean, I'm not positive, so I don't want to spread this rumor, but I think that might mean the year, so 2022. And I forgot to confirm with them, but I think 77 might be the number of certificates that they've handed out. I might be the 77th person to receive the CLVLT. Now, if that is the case, then I would recommend everybody getting their CLVLT, because I can tell you this from a sales standpoint. If I was going to sell a landscape lighting job today, tonight, and I was the 77th person to receive this certificate, this certification, I would tell everybody, listen, I'm one of only 77 certified low voltage lighting technicians in the world, right? So I would say this, depending on where you're at in life, depending on what resources you have, I mean, I would be using that as a sales tool. Now, people, and I used to say this too, homeowners don't know what AOLP is, and it's true, right? Not yet. Maybe one day they will, but right now they don't. But they don't know until you tell them about it. So again, if I'm a AOLP super fan and I'm CLVLT, then I'm telling everyone, like, I'm one of 77 certified low voltage technicians in the world, and I happen to be at your house. You got to kind of make a big deal of it if people don't know it's a big deal, right? And so again, I don't know if that's true or not about the number. So I meant to check before. If anyone is listening and can confirm that, that would be good. If not, then just disregard what I just said. But you don't have to disregard it, because even if you're not the 71 of 77 or whatever, there's still not that many people that have it, right? And so you could position it that way and say, I'm the only one that's CLVLT within a 100-mile radius. Or if you have the certified outdoor lighting designer certificate, whatever you have, you need to be using these tools in your tool belt. And so, but honestly, like, it was a great experience going. I was there a few days. I don't know. The actual conference itself was 2 days. And I think the conference was a lot like other conferences that I've been in other industries and stuff like that, where the actual training in terms of like the speakers and stuff like that, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't like earth shattering, just like life changing stuff. But there was stuff for everyone. Like, again, I'm definitely more focused on business. So when when they have like the panel of these four, business guys that are talking about what they did to grow their business, that was like, oh, I love that, right? But when someone's talking about the spectrum and colors of light and stuff, it just doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't turn me on, right? But others in the room were, they were getting hot and heavy. So it's easy. The one thing I liked about it is I didn't have to do anything. It was not my show. It was not my conference. And so it's easy as an outsider to be like, well, you should have done this. You should have done that. But now I'm really, now that I'm starting to do my own events, I've got my own coaching program. I've got people telling me, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It's much easier to give criticism than take, right? So overall, I thought it was great. I got to meet a lot of new people. I got to meet people that I already knew and had interacted with online. It's kind of weird because I have to tell my wife that I, met some more guys online. But it's nice to meet these people in person and to put a face to the name and actually build a relationship. And to me, that's really what's important about these types of events. It's not so much exactly like, oh, I took away 10 things that I'm going to be able to implement in my business. Hopefully you just take one or two that you can actually implement. And then the rest is the networking, right? And getting to rub shoulders with these guys who have been in the industry a long time. Some are brand new, but they're bringing new, fresh ideas. And so it was a great opportunity to attend, right? And I'll be there next year. And I think I'm going to start my COLD, Certified Outdoor Lighting Designer certification. So it was a good time. Highly recommend. And if you didn't go, you missed out. So that's pretty much it. So I am going to confirm whether or not I am the 77th person to receive the CLVLT by next week. And in the meantime, we're going to do a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to have Mr. Shawn Day join us for Recruit Talk and see if we can figure out how to hire better people to work in our organization so we don't have to deal with that thing called turnover. All right, we'll be right back.
There's more to landscape lighting than just throwing a fixture under a tree. The best display is one that was not only designed well, but also stands the test of time. High-quality fixtures and bulbs are key to long-term success and customer happiness. At Emery Allen, our focus is on creating only the highest performance landscape bulbs in the industry, with long-lasting components that don't degrade or flicker with age. Each bulb's appearance is always consistent throughout your lighting project. We offer a wide range of base types, beam spreads, and color choices that will fit your needs. To learn more, give us a call at 843-480-4473 or email us at info@emeryallen.com.
Hey, this is Jeff Hesser, senior contributor and co-host of the Weekend Review here on Turfs Up Radio. Can't make it to major green industry events, but want to stay connected? Don't worry, we have you covered. Be sure to download the Turfs Up Radio app or visit our website. We'll bring you the live coverage you need to keep you up to date with everything that happens in our industry. And to find out where we'll be next, simply visit greenindustryevents.com. That's greenindustryevents.com. And always remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, it's Brooke Ford, host of the Green Veteran here on Turfs Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's the Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
All right. Welcome back to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen. And now's the time to welcome our guests. If I can figure out the buttons, please welcome Mr. Shawn Day. What's up, Shawn?
Hey, how you guys doing out there? Nice to be on.
Man, thanks so much for taking the time to be here, man.
Absolutely. It's a hot topic, isn't it?
Man, this is, I try to build up all the shows if I'm going to be honest, right? But honestly, this is so important because it literally, if we don't get this right, there's a lot of problems down the road because of it. And I'm living proof. I think everybody is. This is where everyone screws up the most.
Yeah, I think people are people. I mean, we're not selling widgets, so what we have is people. And if you don't have the right people, that's trouble.
Yep. Well, do just a quick introduction of yourself. Tell us where you're from.
So I'm from Blue Sky Services, Shawn Day. I owned a home service business for about 25 years in Cleveland, Ohio. Got together with a company called Blue Sky Services. We started buying other businesses, and found out really quick this is several years ago now. We were sort of mediocre at recruiting. We bought a pretty big company. George and Kathy owned it. They retired when we bought it. And the next week, 15 employees walked out the door just from the change alone. So at that time, it was smack in the face. We were wondering what was happening, and sort of the worst thing that could have happened. As we look at it now, we're approaching, but in our admin business, close to $1 million, just over a couple of years of being in business, recruiting for all kinds of home service companies around the country now.
That's awesome. Well, I love the fact that you guys specialize in this, because when I think of recruiting, I'm like, oh, there's, people are recruiting for CEOs and all that stuff. And I'm like, they don't relate to us. And so I like that you've got the home service experience. Dan does. Everyone in your, circle there has that same background. And then you guys specialize in helping us regular people out. Like, how do we find this talent? So I love that.
Yeah. And I think that's one of our competitive advantages as well, Ryan, is that we are colleagues first before we're anything else. We own businesses. We own the same businesses. So we've gone through the headaches of what our clients are going through every single day. And that's why they reach out to us. They just we specialize in it. We've got a system down, and we like to share that system with people.
I love it. So I want to get into that system a little bit, but first let's talk about why is recruiting so important?
Recruiting is so important because I look at it like this. You can have all kinds of sales and marketing, and that's fine. And that's how entrepreneurs are. That's what we do, right? Top growth, revenue, sales, and we're growing. If we don't have anybody to go out there and take care of the business for us, you have zero sales. Okay. That's just the way it is. So, in our business, we know window cleaning. If I have a client, they might bring me $3,000 or $5,000 in revenue a year. I know my window cleaner can go out and fetch me close to $200,000 in revenue by taking care of those customers. So in my mind, my biggest sales is our employees. That's our biggest client right there. So when we do our recruiting, our mindset is this is the biggest sale of our life.
Yeah, I love that. Because I'm guilty of what you described, just being an entrepreneur that's focused on sales. And it's like, I'm just going to go out and sell, and then I'll figure out a way to get it done. And unfortunately, if you're just doing it that way, the fulfillment is not going to be top quality, and you're churning a lot on the back end of it. I remember it. I mean, I never did this, but I wanted to ask you, I used to go through employees like crazy, right? And what is the replacement cost of employees? Like, is there a number you could share?
Yeah, I can, only because my man Dan Plata is the bookkeeper, and he's done this like very thoroughly. On average, somewhere between $5,000 is a reasonable. If you're paying somebody 40, 50 grand a year to do some things, $5-6 grand is what it's going to cost you very easily and very quickly. That includes, you got to look at retraining, reposting ads, just time and resources, big time. A minimum of $5,000.
Yeah, and I would I'm not going to argue with Dan because he is a bookkeeping nerd, but I would say it's even higher than that, because I value my time way more than a spreadsheet's going to show. And so that's just the actual dollars that it's going to cost for having certain people do it. But just the stress and anxiety that it's going to put on me, that I don't have that position fulfilled, or that we're not going to be able to get to someone, that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, with that same mindset, to your point, it's a matter of you tend to sacrifice a little bit too. If you don't like what you're doing, which is recruiting, and if you're not real good at it and you don't have your system down, you start going, okay, I want the top best human being I can get. Then by the time you go through and get beat up and you're sick of it, you're right back to, okay, dude, if you got a pulse and then your resume looks decent, come on in, because I'm sick of recruiting. And that's a big mistake I see all the time. And that's because entrepreneurs aren't like digging doing their bookkeeping, and they're not digging doing their recruiting.
Yeah. No, you're dead on. I mean, I've been there where you just settle. It's like, I just need a warm body. So,
yep.
I mean, what things do you recommend? What should a business owner be focused on to attract high quality talent?
Well, there's so many things, but I'll try to pinpoint the most important ones. And it's going to sound simple, it's reasonable, but most companies I come across don't do it. And that is to offer a job that people want. I mean, I look back at some of our job ads and our job descriptions before we knew what we were doing in recruiting. I wouldn't let my son apply for that job. I mean, there's the big mistake I see is putting a job description together, posting it out on job boards and Facebook, and it says, if you do this, you're not going to work here. If you don't, and they screen and vet during the job description. I'm here to tell you that marketing and sales is so aligned with recruiting. It cracks me up. And I've got a lot of experience in marketing and sales. But if you think about it, does your website say, hey, if you're a cheapo, don't bother coming here, Mr. Prospective Client? No, you don't screen a client like that. You're selling. So the job description is your biggest sales pitch of your life. And you know, we've taken it to an extreme where when we put our job description together, we put something in there like, we will be able to tell if you love this job in 2 minutes. And that gets that's a job description. That's part of our job description. You make it interesting, and we take them through this whole engaging sort of Walt Disney experience just in the job description and all the way through the process. That's different than what anybody's doing out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I had that probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I had that epiphany of like, wait a minute. We're not really trying. Like, I would just assume that people were like grateful for a job. You know, it's like of course they want to work for me. Like, yeah, like why wouldn't they want to? And then I realized I'm like, wait, no, I do. I'm not selling myself enough. Like, and I think I was like doing it unintentionally, but I also feel like I was doing it also because I didn't want to disappoint them and like sell it so much that then, and I knew in like subconsciously that we weren't the best organized. We didn't have the best systems. We didn't have the best culture. And I didn't want them thinking that I promised them all this. Then they get in and find out, well, shit, this guy's full of crap. And so that was like my moral dilemma where I was like, and to that point, maybe I'll just mention that, like you said, we're selling it. If I can't go sell landscape lighting if I don't feel like I really am the best landscape lighting company because of that same reason. I can't demand top prices, but I dialed that system in and I really felt like I was the best, right? They needed to go with me. But from an employee standpoint, I didn't have the best culture. I didn't have the best systems, and I didn't feel right in selling myself fully because of that.
And that'll come to the surface, just like you outlined there, Ryan. I mean, that type of thing comes to the surface, and people can read and sense those sort of things. And the biggest word you used is expectations. If your sales material doesn't match what your service is, which is the expectation the client gets from you, right? From you, same thing. If we're going to pay $800 a week, you damn well better have a paycheck in their hand every Friday at $800 a week. I can't tell you how many times people have told me they pay X, and then we find out that somebody leaves because their paycheck's not even right. I mean, that's a horrible expectation, let alone, benefits and some other things that, do you really have healthcare benefits, or is it sort of Aflac, or is it sort of in between? And then they go thinking they've got benefits, and it's not really what, those expectations are just dashed. And that is a big red flag, and that's going to make your turnover rate go through the roof.
Yep. Okay. So before we get into some of the specifics of what people can do, why, and we've touched on a couple of these, I guess, but why do you think most people struggle, most of us business owners struggle with the whole recruiting process?
There's a couple reasons. I think one, the fundamental reason that I see is that they don't do research in their labor market, and they don't put on the glasses of a job seeker. Everything is through the lens of their business and being a business owner. And I work super hard when we put our systems together to look through the lens of a job candidate. So I'll give you a quick example. Some people like to use, let's say, a window cleaning technician. Okay. I can tell you that there is hardly any job seeker looking and typing in job boards the word technician. Okay. That's not what they look for. Maids, the word maids. I've got some clients that own residential house cleaning services. Tons of clients in Texas. They use the word maids like it's going out of style in Texas. If I were to put maids in my job title or job description in Ohio, because I've researched my labor market, I'd lose 70% of my application flow. You know, you hit me in the face with a sneaker. I don't know what the hell you hit me in the face with. I buy tennis shoes, okay? I don't know what a soda looks like. I buy pop. Those keywords and job descriptions, you want to know what they're typing in and looking. That's how you attract them, just on the job boards and Facebook and that sort of thing. And then the other really important things that are a little bit in the weeds, but if you don't have an online application right now, don't recruit. I mean, just if you're printing out applications and you want people to walk through a door to apply, get your horse and buggy parked, and then we can talk about some other things. You need an online application. Okay. And you really have to start to automate this process. And we've really have changed our game when we started to automate some things and some data-driven pre-screening questions, just to kind of set the table a little bit on what you need to do.
Yeah, I love both of those. The keywords are huge because we use terms and think that just because we use a certain term that everybody else does. And I've seen this. So I actually just used Shawn's services and everything that he's talking about. I mean, we probably should have had you share. We probably should have shared like my job description versus your guys' job description and your application versus my non-application. But it made it very, very nice because I was getting resumes and then I was like, well, what am I supposed to do with these? And I don't even have time to look at all those. But your process was genius because I was basically getting applications of people who were highly qualified, a good fit. And they were actually all very good candidates to where you could almost just like close your eyes and look down and pick one and hire one. So there is a right and a wrong way to do this. So I can appreciate that.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we put together for our system was we ask a lot of data-driven questions. And, everybody out there, a lot of people have heard of the DISC profile and it's got its place and it has personality assessments and all these other things. All those things have its place. But if I had a really gold nugget, I guess, to talk about a little bit is that our questions are data driven. And I thought a lot about this when I put this system together. My brain goes like this a lot of times. Okay. And when I, like, for example, if I start digging into Infusionsoft, like all I want is an email campaign. 20 minutes into it, I'm going, man, I think this thing could build a car, man, and I'm doing all kinds of things. And all I wanted was an email. So I thought to myself with recruiting, what's the number one thing you want to find out about an employee? What's the number one thing? And everything else falls into place. There's one thing and it works beautifully. How long are you going to last with us? Period. I don't care about anything else. If I can find data to the best of our ability that will uncover if you're going to last with my company for a long time, I'm going to bet a lot of money your attitude's good, your quality's good, you're showing up to work on time, everything. Our employees love you, our customers love you, or you probably love your job to some extent, or you wouldn't be with us for a long time. If I can find that data through our pre-screening questions, which we do a pretty good job of it, that's really the gold nugget in all of what we do.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so what we're going to do is take a quick break, and then I want to dive in a little bit deeper on some of the steps that people can do either on their own, or hopefully they'll reach out to you and hire you. But let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Isn't it nice when the weather cooperates and crews complete jobs on time and on budget? But weather can cause delays, and with paper route sheets, jobs get lost in the shuffle. That's why you need Aspire Crew Control scheduling software, an easy-to-use, flexible, and affordable solution that allows you to shift schedules with a single click. Try Aspire Crew Control for free at aspirecrewcontrol.com.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Welcome back to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen, the #1 landscape lighting show in the world. Here with Shawn Day of Blue Skies Recruiting. You know, Shawn, I had Dan Plata on the show a while back, and somehow, of course, we got off topic. Can you ever stay on topic with that guy?
No, never.
Yeah, and we were talking about bookkeeping, but then we were talking about recruiting, and then I was like, yeah, you know, one of the things I tell people is, you know, always be hiring, and he's like, no, always be Cruitin, ABC, always be
Somewhere
Cruitin.
right there.
So I love it. I totally stole that from him now, but I give him credit every once in a while.
All right.
But why is that so important to always be Cruitin, even when, you know, I'm fully staffed right now? I don't need anybody. Everyone's happy. We're all good. Why should I always be Cruitin?
Yeah, that's a great question. Another game changer too for us. I'll tell you a story about it. That happened to a client of ours who listened to us in the Hopper strategy. And Dean Smith owns a pressure washing company. I think 6 employees, and he continued to interview, not necessarily hire, but you definitely want to recruit, and that includes interviewing. And Dean lost 2 guys. Same day. They were with him for several years, actually, and something happened. They both quit unannounced. Dean was able to replace them in 72 hours because he was continuing to interview even when he didn't need to hire. And that's just a game changer. Didn't lose a dime of revenue, didn't tick off any clients out there. His other employees were not upset because they had to work 100 hours a week to make up for the slack, right? All those things that typically happen when those surprises happen, and they tend to happen in 2s or 3s, not just one person leaving. And we've been burned so many times in the past. We're going like 4 months and just making good money, growing like crazy, and 2 people quit, and we stopped recruiting. And we lost all of that. We took 10 steps backwards. So that's why it's really, really important to recruit and always be recruiting, baby.
Yeah, love it. I mean, I've been there where it's just like, well, I didn't even think to be recruiting when everything's great. You don't. And it, like you said, it always comes when something happens, it's always in pairs or thirds. And it's always at the wrong time. It's like,
right.
Oh, man, we don't have time for this. It's never like, oh, well, it's fine because we were sitting around. But if you are always be recruiting, you're going to be fine. So
there's an unintentional thing too that happened with that too. Very quickly, you got 5 starters on a basketball team. They look over at the bench. Nobody's sitting on the bench, right? How hard are they actually working to keep their job? Are they staying after and shooting free throws and really going at it? No. When they look at the bench and there's 4 people on the bench ready to take their job, guess what happens? Just like your employees, everybody at our company knows we've got a hopper strategy and a bench of people ready to take their job at any time. Now, we don't rub it in their face or anything like that. That's just part of our thing. And what happens typically is your C-ish or B-ish employees either turn into A employees or they leave, and that's just fine. You don't have to fire them. They end up leaving, and the A employees don't care. They know they're good, and they just work hard and go after it. And that was a really unintentional thing that was a game changer with the recruiting too. Always be recruiting.
yeah, love that. No, it totally makes sense when you put it that way. They got and I experienced that at a different level. That's one reason why I kind of preach like it's actually better to scale your business, because if you just have one salesperson, they don't, same thing. If you have 2 salespeople or 3, then there's kind of a competition there. If you just have one installer, they can do whatever they want. Like, it's really hard to hold them accountable. But if they do have those bench players or even the second or third, it's like, well, they're not as integral to your company, and they know that. So you're kind of touching on a little bit about culture and processes. How important is company culture when it comes to the actual recruiting process and finding qualified people?
Yeah, I think in general, not just recruiting. I think culture is right up there with maybe leadership. If you don't have leadership and culture, I don't know how you succeed. I really don't. Culture is so important because it's retention. If you've got good culture and your employees love waking up, that's the whole thing. If you can create a job and a culture where people actually wake up in the morning and want to come to work and love to come to work for you, that's huge. I mean, and that's what culture is, isn't it? I mean, that's what it's all about. Typically, when I ask a business owner, when I'm doing a demo for our recruiting services, I'll ask them to tell me what their culture is. Almost all the time, it has to do with their clients. Very rarely do I hear something about we go up and we'll climb large buildings to take care of a client no matter what it takes. Our customer service, this and that and the other. That's great. Doesn't say a damn thing about how you treat your employees, which are your biggest salespeople. And I think that just proves why there's so many companies that just have horrible retention, because they don't focus on those employees being their most important customer. I think that's huge.
Yep. I'm guilty. Well, let's talk about your process. And it is a process. I mean, recruiting is not just okay, well, today we're recruiting and tomorrow we're not. And it stops once you get someone that applies for the job. Right. So I guess tell us about that process for recruiting
Sure.
in the service industry.
So we touched a little bit on the front end of it with the research and get those keywords and job titles. Get an online application set up, which you can find. There's a whole bunch of different application tracking systems out there that are relatively inexpensive. You can use one of those that creates an online application for you. You got to post it in practically every place you possibly can, not just Indeed, not just Facebook, not just Craigslist or something like that. We use probably 40 different job boards. And then there's this little company called Google that got into the recruiting game about 5 years ago, and nothing came of it until about 3 years ago, and literally nobody knows about it. The good news is it's free, and nobody knows about it. And it's been a game changer where prior to that, 20% of job seekers went to Google to apply for jobs. Once Google got their platform set called Google for Jobs, 75% of job seekers now go to Google to start their job search. That's a game changer. So everywhere you want it posted. And then those screening questions, right? I look at recruiting where, like sales, I want that big funnel on top. I don't care. I'm not screening them at all. I want that big funnel on top. And then my screening questions, right, have that little pee hole on the bottom, and a few will drip out of there and be qualified. But with our system, because it's automated, if I had 10,000 applicants all hit submit application online at the exact same second, literally within seconds, I will be able to tell you which 9,000 are not qualified within seconds. That's automation. That's quick. And in this labor market, if you're not quick, your competition's going to pick up every employee out there. So screening, automation, and your screening questions need to basically uncover one thing, and that is how long are they going to last with my company? And then after that, I mean, it's a matter of we do group interviews. Okay, the interview, we've changed the way we interview in a big way. It's helped us. We hired 40 some employees last year alone at one location. That's a lot of it. We've hired over 100 last year company wide, but at one location, 40 employees. That's a lot in 2021, man. And so I can talk a little bit about that if we have time, but the interview process is a big deal to us.
That's where I want to go down and kind of wrap it up with. Let's talk about the interview process, because like I said, I would get people in and then I would just kind of act like, I was the king or whatever, and like, why, tell me why you should work here. What, it's like, gosh, I did it all wrong. So please help us.
I'm glad you said that, because I talk a lot. I do presentations and stuff at conferences, and one of the things I've been talking a lot about is that perception and ego. We all have egos. That's why we're in business. You can't be in business without an ego. But one of the biggest turnoffs is when you go into to interview and somebody in front of you interviewing you has an ego that's the size of the room that they're sitting in. That's not real comfortable. It's not a place I want to work. And so you need to really, we call it, we don't even call it an interview anymore. We call it a presentation, because if we do our job up front and we screen somebody properly, we know that they're already qualified to work for us. So why on earth do we need to continue putting them through hoops and I want somebody, this is how we do our interview. Number one, it's a group interview, so it's not wasting a bunch of time. You can either interview Tuesday or Thursday at 5 p.m. with us. That's it. So we get a group of people in there, and you know what we do? A sales presentation. We have beverages, we have refreshments, we have name tags, we have some swag we'll pass out, and we say, have a seat. We want to tell you why this is the best job of your life. Let us present to you what we're all about. And we tell our story. We have a presentation, and we say, this is how we started. This is where we started. And we talk about that story. And then we say, here's where we're at today. And we talk a little bit about that story. And then we say, here's where we want to go in the future with you. And here's where we want to be with you in 3, 4, 5 years. And then it's off the charts what we talk about then. And this is an interview. And we look at those guys in this room as the biggest sale of our life, because if we hire 2 or 3 guys, that's $300,000-$400,000 of revenue for us. If you damn well don't think that's a big sale, I don't know what the hell is. And that's how we treat it. And it's a game changer when we changed it to that way. And we'll talk about how we pay our services. And we, if your first impression is to come into our office and you're uncomfortable, you might not want to work here because you're uncomfortable. We want you as comfortable as possible. Like, this is the best place. You don't want to be anywhere else except in this room hearing what we have to say. That's how we interview.
I love that. Such great advice, honestly. Now I started doing the group interview by default because I would have these interviews and then they didn't show up. So I was like, F this every, Thursday at 5 or whatever. And that would be it. And 10 people are like, yeah, I'll see you there. And then 2 would show up.
Yep.
But I definitely was not doing it the right way. Like you said, I mean, it makes so much sense that it is the biggest sell of our life, that every employee we add is going to add $300,000-$400,000 in revenue. And if we were going to, in the landscape lighting world, if we knew that we were going to go do a presentation for a $300,000-$400,000 job, I mean, we would be very well prepared. We would put everything into it, and we would sell like our life was on the line. And I know that 99.9% of business owners are not doing that when it comes to recruiting and hiring. That's for sure.
Yeah. And it doesn't cost a dime. If you think about that, what's it cost? A couple of, some pop and refreshments and a bottled water here or there. That's really all it costs. I mean, it's all about first impressions. I mean, yeah, it's all about first impressions. And when you begin to do, and that's got to go, you talked about it, that's got to move into your culture too. All that stuff has to move into your culture, that you're taking care of people. And a lot of times that does take us, us business owners, us entrepreneurs, where we've got to put our ego on the shelf a little bit, because when our ego is big, we don't even listen to what other people are talking about. When I put my ego on the shelf and I am in the now, right now, focused on not what's going to happen after this interview, not what I had to rush through before the interview got here. It's like, you look at that guy in the eyes and you give him the attention he deserves. And those are things we talk about as a leadership team on how we need to change our business and our culture. And it's, God, we're happy where we're at with it.
I love it. Well, I guess just to kind of close out, I know when I was putting together, you had asked me for some information about my company and stuff like that. And, if I were to put together a sales presentation on why someone should buy landscape lighting from me, it's very easy. I can list not only 5, but 10 or 15, maybe even 20 reasons why they should buy from me. But when you asked me, I think you said 5 reasons why someone should work for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an eye opener. I was like, shit, I can't even think of 2. So I thought of 1, and then I made up 4 others. But I think it's a good exercise for everybody to go through, because whether they're going to work with Shawn Day or not, if you can't answer those questions, why, if you don't know why someone should work for you, why are you expecting anyone else to? So, is that your experience? Do most people have a hard time coming up with 5 reasons why someone should work for them?
Absolutely. It's all focused on the client. And that's how we are. That's how business owners are and entrepreneurs are. It's all on the client. But whatever you do and think about and prepare and get pumped up about with clients, you need to do at least the same thing on the employee end. I don't care what it is. I mean, if it's a QR code, if it's a yard sign, why don't you have a yard sign that says you'd love to work for us? You know, if
Yep.
I've been on TV promoting Cleaning for a Reason, which is a nonprofit and this and that. And I used to say, cool, we'll get some clients from that. And it's a good thing. My God, do you know how many people would want to work with a company that provides free cleanings for women that are battling cancer? I mean, that's a culture. That's, that's a good thing. But I never thought about, if you have if you're doing charity work out there as a business, if you're not, you should be giving back to your community. And if you are, that's something to promote. Wouldn't you love to be a part of a company that does this type of charity work? That's who we are. And most of us, can come up with a story with that. And those things, we just don't do it. I don't know why. I don't know why we don't do it, other than our mindset is usually about growth and sales and how many customers can we get?
Until they listen to the Shawn Day. So, well, if people want to get a hold of you, I mean, honestly, guys, I use Shawn. I've only used him once, but so far so good. I'll keep you guys posted. But if someone wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
I'll give you the phone number, 440-490-1471. And very quickly, if anybody ever wants to do a Zoom with me, I can take you right from A to Z, how we have our automated recruiting system, and not just for us, but for hundreds of other companies around the country. And at the end of it, if you want to steal every single thing I show you and try it, I'll help you do that. If you want to throw a couple bucks at me, I'll be even more happy to help you out. Either way, I don't care.
Yep. I did the Zoom call and I was like, man, I can't believe how much you are telling me. But then I was like, no, I'm smart now. I used to be stupid and be like, ooh, I'm going to take all this info and I just got all this stuff. But now I'm not as dumb as I used to be. And I just was like, yeah, take my money.
Awesome. Yep. I'm glad. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, reach out to Shawn if you need help, which you do. So just reach out to him and he'll get you going. Thanks, Shawn. I really appreciate you being on here, man. Thanks for sharing your advice.
Thank you. You guys take good care. I wish everybody the best of luck out there.
Sounds good, man. Take it easy.
Okay.
All right, guys, we'll be right back with my lighting tip of the week. I finally got a lighting tip of the week. Be right back.
Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Weekend Review.
The Weekend Review.
Join King Darren and all of your favorite Turfs Up radio hosts, including Hecubus, Eric, the Turf Teacher Jones, Brian. Ryan Lee, Wayne, the Prophet Bowles,
One opportunity.
his son Daniel, Brooke Ford, the Green Veteran,
Giddy up.
and many more. Join us live as we unpack the week and share what you may have missed live on Turfs Up Radio. That's the Weekend Review, Saturdays, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Yeah! Oh, yeah.
Attention all pros. When you leave a deal with your clients, don't leave money on the table. Join Turfs Up Nation today and partner with pros all across the country who can help you make more money for your services that are related to your project. Landscapers need plumbers, and pool installers need hardscapers, and every combination in between. Turfs Up Nation is free. Your information is secure, and you'll be connected with other pros in the industry who want to do business with you. And not to mention property owners who need help with everything. If you think your clients don't need you and the connections you have, think again. Join TurfsUpNation.com today and start putting more money in your pocket for services you never knew you could. Just remember to sign up for this free service. Go to TurfsUpNation.com.
Welcome back to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen. Go to emeryallen.com if you need some bulbs and stuff. All right, so I want to quickly close the show with my lighting tip of the week. I was talking to a friend this last week, and I was actually asking him for some advice about purchasing a building. I've never bought a building. I always just rented my shop. It was such a good deal. It was like, I tried to look, it just didn't make sense. But I'm looking around. I want to buy this building, and just to give you some quick context, my friend started a business around the same time I started mine, 12, 13 years ago, something like that. Just he and his brother and their laptops and stuff. And they ended up doing very, very well. And and I'm just telling you this because I want you to kind of know who I was talking to, but it's a friend of mine. They were selling backpack stoves, and then they had their light bulb moment, and they ended up selling backyard fire pits. So if you've ever heard of Solo Stove, I mean, it's a big company now. They started that. In fact, they just went public. They sold their company, went public with a huge valuation in the billions with a B. And I'm telling you this, one, because it's awesome. And I'm going to have him come on the show sometime, even though it has nothing to do with lighting, but it has a lot to do with profits. So we'll have him come on. But I just wanted you to kind of know the context of the person I was talking to. Total down to earth, humble people. But I'm asking him for advice, and he tells me the exact opposite of what I wanted to hear. I thought he was going to be like confirm my ideas and my whatever I wanted to hear, right? And he says the exact opposite, to which I have my objections. I say, well, what about this? What about that? And he says, well, what do I know? I didn't start a $1 billion business, right? And so I was like, listen, let me just ask for advice and then make bad decisions. And so my lighting tip of the week is be open to advice. It's really, really hard to do. What's interesting, we were talking about that just earlier, right? We were talking about that with Shawn, and it's hard to humble ourselves sometimes to take advice. But he was giving me great advice, to which I wanted nothing to do with. So I just decided to basically argue, right? And I was just like, dude, let me just ask for advice and then continue to make bad decisions. So are we not like that? Like we ask for advice and then we keep asking until we find the right person that gives us what we want to hear, right? Not what we need to hear. And so be open to advice. It may sound crazy. It may sound stupid. It may be like, well, why would I ever do that? It may be the exact opposite of what you were thinking, which is what happened to me and happens a lot. And but take some time, let it absorb. You never know. It may be the best advice you've ever gotten. And sometimes we just have to swallow our pride, let someone else be the leader. And again, I'm speaking from a place of I'm going through this stuff right now. And I don't think there's something where it's not a flip of a switch where you're like, oh, now I'm good at taking advice. But it's not easy, but it's worth it. Right. And this happens all the time with me and my coach. It happens in my coaching program. It's really, really hard. But what you've got to understand is that there's people that have already gone through the pain that you are going to go through. And you can minimize that pain if you listen to their advice. But in my experience, most of us do that. We ask for advice, and then if it's not like congruent with what we want to hear, then we'll just go find someone that will agree with us. Someone maybe who thinks we're more important than we are, and they'll just want to agree. And then you never really experience change. So again, most of my advice, and you should start picking up on this by now, is because I've learned the hard way, or I'm going through it now and I'm not good at it. Just like we were talking about recruiting, culture, again, not my strength. And so I'm trying to get better on it. I'm trying to improve. I'm building this new business. I now have 2 business coaches. I've got an executive assistant, and it's my second executive assistant in like 4 months, right? So it's not a perfect process. But I'm constantly continuing to improve, continuing to move forward, asking people for advice. And I run into the same stuff. I ask people for advice. Hey, what would you do here? I got plenty of people telling me how they think I should run a coaching business. And it's hard to take, and sometimes I'm like, crap, I know that's right, but I still want to tell them they don't know what they're talking about. And that's okay. That's normal. We're human. But at the same time, humble yourself and let it marinate, let it soak in a little bit before you just completely reject it. So that's my lighting tip of the week. Learn to take advice, learn to partner with others. It doesn't have to be a contract on paper partnership, but partner with others. And that's the value of community, right? So that's the value of joining a program like Landscape Lighting Secrets. It's the value of joining a program like AOLP. It's the value of community. So want to thank you guys for your support. Thank you for your sense of community. Thank you for your feedback. If you guys have any advice, just shoot me a message or on Facebook or email me at support@RyanLeeCoaching.com. Can't promise I'll listen, but I'll certainly try. So Really appreciate you guys, and hope everyone has an awesome week. And don't forget to keep moving forward. So we'll see you on the next one.